Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing, which could be a bit of deja vu for one of our drivers. Cast your minds back to F1 2019, Season 15. Round 9 of the Precision Tier was at the Silverstone circuit, and it saw Janil pick up the title. Here we are for Season 16. New game, same track, same round, same situation. Can the Mercedes driver clinch his second consecutive Precision Tier title, or will Dane star Ollie Flavelle and Scopefielder still have something to say out of it? We are in the penultimate round of the season, back at Silverstone. My name is Luke. Alongside me is Matt from the Prospect Tier. And it just feels as though we could have a really good race tonight. We've seen in podium weather could play a part. We've still got 4 drivers with a chance of winning the championship. Can't really leave anything out there now. They've just got to go for it to try and stop Janil getting that title.
Yeah, they certainly do have to go for it. It's sort of like a no-lose situation for some of the drivers. With that mentality, they may be able to drive a little bit freer, but it feels like we're going to have a very special evening indeed. And welcome along, everybody. Hello.
Yes, it does feel like we're going to have a special evening. If you weren't with us last time out for Australia, it was Janil's second win of the season. Pretty much a perfect performance from him. Pole, fastest lap, taking the victory, and winning the Driver of the Day vote as well. Ollie Flavelle finished in second position with Mr. Simp in third. So Janil now has 137 points. Ollie is on 125. Danestar 113. Scopefielder on 102. Those are the 4 in the championship battle still. The rest of the race premium drivers, Jimbo Manzi 77, Khalifa on 62, Lukey has 32, J. Luke and Kian on 26, Verheyen 24, Jonas Ulbricht up to 11, Ivan has 3 points. We've still got Sam and Lawrence on none, and we do have a new driver tonight in the Racing Point, James Dovey. For the championship, the simplest situation, if Janil wins tonight, Ollie Flavelle needs to finish in the top 4. That is assuming no one gets the fastest lap out of them two. If either Ollie or Danestar wins, then we're definitely going on to Vietnam. It's been interesting listening to some of the drivers, what they've said as well. Scopefielder, who's currently 4th, said he hates this track. Ollie Flavelle has said he feels really good about the next 2 tracks in the driver's press conference. But we know the weather can always play a part at Silverstone and could just throw everything out of the order for all these drivers. I'm sure all 4 of them will be hoping for a dry qualifying and race.
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly hoping for one, and we got dry weather over in Prospect, so definitely I think a dry race would be a more fairer result for a lot of people. But we do have, just checking over the history of this track, I think 4 of 6 podium sitters are in this lobby in Danestar, Lukey, Jonas and Eva Hannon. So that could be a fight to see.
Yeah, definitely. Last year in the podium tier in Season 15, which was then the bottom tier, it was Jonas Ulbricht who took the victory, but Eva Hannon ended up winning the title. Last time out in the Precision tier, Danestar took the victory here last year, but Janil ended up winning the title. Janil actually ended up finishing 8th on that occasion, which wouldn't be enough to, well, nothing would be enough if Danestar or Ollie Flavelle wins. Scopefielder, he needs a win, and even that might not keep him in the championship. Interestingly, how he said he didn't like this track, because most of the other drivers, when they were asked in the pre-race interviews, were like, yeah, Janil said it was top 5. Most of the others are like, yeah, this is a really enjoyable track. It's high speed, and most of the drivers do seem to prefer those tracks over some others.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot easier to go really fast in a straight line and have to tootle around corners at 32 miles an hour. Monaco hairpin, I'm looking at you, son. Anyway, it's just a much better track, and it's more flowing than some tracks, so it's definitely going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I have to say this now because I say it on every single stream I do around Silverstone. I preferred it when Bridge and Priory were corners before the update in 2009. Definitely remember playing far too much time on the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 around those circuits. Definitely a challenge. Expect to see lots of close racing. Expect to see lots of overtaking as well. 2 DRS zones here, one down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, where you can battle all the way round from Luffield to Woodcut, and it's a very interesting part of the track. It's been noted by the stewards as one of the action zones. You can see drivers passing on the inside and the outside into Luffield. Pretty much any line you want to take around that corner could work out.
Yeah, there's a few corners where you could take a couple of lines through it, but you shouldn't really try and go 3 wide around a lot of this track, because I know from experience that it doesn't always work out, but hopefully these drivers are smart enough to realise, 2's enough, I'll wait till the straight.
Yeah, most certainly. I feel like even Cops, Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, definitely, you try too wide around there, you are going to get yourself in trouble. Whoever's running the One Hub account being a bit cruel maybe to Kelvin here, saying odds on him for getting to 2-stop. He has done it twice this season. And to be honest, this is a track you wouldn't 2-stop normally just because of how long the pit lane is. So if you get damage and you have to make a 3rd stop for whatever reason, it's pretty much game over for your chances of getting a decent result.
Yeah, that or a drive-through for speeding on the VSC or safety car, that could really hamper you as well. Not throwing shade at my teammate, but that's exactly what I did over in Prospect. And he still beat me. Anyway, we're going to have a lot of action, I think, and I'd be surprised if there wasn't an early safety car tonight, but we'll cover that later.
Yeah, we've seen safety cars here before. Virtual safety cars can really split up the strategy. We know it's a hard track on the tyres, but the 2-stop strategy will, of course, negate all that. The drivers are getting ready now. Could be an interesting night in qualifying, especially. I said there are overtaking opportunities, but as always, you would like to start at the front of the grid. And the man I got highlighted there has admitted before qualifying is a weakness for Ollie Flavelle. He could really do with putting in a good qualifying performance tonight. Just 12 points off the championship, but realistically, if he doesn't finish ahead of Jan Hill, it's going to be really tough for him going into Vietnam.
Yeah, very tough, but depending on results, not impossible. But tonight will give us a massive indication of where we stand going into Vietnam, the season decider of this current season. It'll be a shame to not do this for a while, but hopefully we won't be away for too long.
Yeah, it won't be long before we're back. We started the season with one of the new circuits on F1 2020 at Holland, and we're going to finish it at the Hanoi Street Circuit, which, interestingly, it was only today that they announced officially that they weren't going to be hosting a race in 2020, which I found a bit funny, because I think everyone assumed that way back in May, June time at the earliest. We already know what track is going to be there for Season 17 as well. Round 1 of Season 17 will be at the Red Bull Ring. And it seems like Mr. Simp seems fairly confident in the chat, especially confident for a man who's only scored points twice this season. Fair play, he's won one race and had a podium. He said he's going to win by 10 seconds ahead of Janel, and then Schnickseller said odds on Simp bottling the race. If these are the conditions for the race, there's a much bigger chance of us seeing some bottles. Unlike podium tier, though, it's going to start off with the intermediate tyres in qualifying. Normally you put on a lot of downforce for this track anyway, so there will be minor changes, of course, for a wet setup. But this could be interesting if we have a wet qualifying and then a dry race, as Schnicksel has just confirmed, race will be dry.
Well, that's always a relief for drivers. If it's going to rain, you'd rather it rain in qualifying. But you mentioned bottles a moment ago. Was Valtteri around in the background? What's he up to? I had to add the opportunity. Who's first out anyway? There's a car just gone down the pit lane. Let's find out who that is. I believe it's Lawrence, yes. Good to see you, sir. I won't praise you, because last time I did, you found a wall.
Yeah, he's trying to get a bit of an early run on this. Maybe it's getting wetter later on in the session. Is interestingly talking about Valtteri Bottas, that the last two league tiers I've commentated on F1 2019 at One Hub were won by a Finn driving a Mercedes, and at the moment we've got a Finn driving a Mercedes leading Precision tier. That doesn't mean you guys should all switch off, go and watch EastEnders or whatever. We could still get some really fun racing, and it is definitely not by any means over yet, with Janil only 12 points, as we said, ahead of Ollie Flavelle at the moment, who himself is 12 points ahead of Danestar, who himself is 11 points ahead of Scopefielder. So, in a way, I know Scopefielder said he doesn't enjoy this track, so the pressure's kind of off tonight. He knows the chances of him winning the championship are extremely slim. He can just go for it, and who knows, he might get lucky.
Yeah, lucky. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, as we all know. But the cars are starting to feel their way around down these tricky conditions. As he's mentioned a moment ago, is it going to get wetter later? Is it going to dry up at all? Looking at that, probably going to stick with what we've got now, but Daystar and Kian are also close together on track, right behind Jimbo. So that's, it's not the race yet, boys, back off a bit.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to get stuck in the dirty air. That is one thing. We will follow, though, Lawrence around then in the Ferrari. Let's see what he can do around this Silverstone circuit, remodelled for the 2010 season, now one of the longest on the calendar, as he comes flying through Abbey and Farm. 3.660 miles, 5.891 kilometres, braking hard then for Village at turn 3, where Raikkonen and Hamilton had a coming together, then coming through the loop extremely tight. Need to be careful on traction, especially in these wet conditions. And then you're flat through Aintree over that curve, but you can see how easy it is to invalidate down the Wellington Straight. And normally this would of course be a DRS point in the race, so let's see if he carries on pushing, or is he just gonna relax it off now? I imagine he's just gonna relax, so we'll see what Scopefielder. Now, actually, we'll see what Mr. Simp's doing. He's invalidated as well, so we will go to Scopefielder then, who's getting a nice bit of a slipstream off his teammate at the moment. It's good to see teamwork, and AlphaTauri are currently third in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes leading that on 199 points, with Red Bull just 9 points further behind. As we come through Loffield now, need to be careful on the throttle so they don't spin towards the old pit wall, as Verheyen has retired from the session. That is because of a qualifying ban that we will talk about a bit later on. Coming through corps way less than flat in these conditions, about 30 mile an hour less than what you'd expect them to do. Maggot, Beckett and Chapo, these corners are fearful enough in the dry, never mind when you've got a bit of moisture between those Pirelli P0s and the tarmac. As you head now through Chapo, down the Hangar Straight, another fantastic overtaking opportunity. There will be DRS enabled, of course, here in the race once it is dry. And then Stowe, scene of that famous Mansell PK pass that is somehow 33 years ago. Head down towards the pit lane entry now through Vale and Club to finish the lap for Schofield. A slight snatch of the front left there. Didn't seem to cost him too much as he heads around the final corner. What can the AlphaTauri driver do? 135.533. James Dovitt can't beat that on his debut at this moment in time, but it seemed like a fairly tidy lap from Stixel, although Janel now goes 8 tenths faster than Schofield, I should say, sorry, 134.784. And we will probably get the drivers doing multiple laps just to get a feel for the track conditions.
Yeah, one of those drivers won't be Jeluk, who's got broken wings, so he'll be in very quickly just to try a little bit later on, but he's struggling in these early moments of the session, but he's more than capable of getting it back, even though it's less than flat at full throttle anyway. He's just coasted it back. So we'll see him a little later in the session, but yeah, that was definitely a great lap from Janel.
Yeah, most certainly. The drivers were asked to describe how they feel through Maggot, Beckett and Chapel. It's fair to say J-Luke probably didn't feel too good there, with quite a lot of damage to his front wing. You can just see the understeer he has got in the Haas. I mentioned Verheyenen's qualifying ban. That was for an incident with Scopefielder. Of course, last time out, Verheyen was the only on-track retiree from the race. We did then get Kelvin disqualified for forgetting the two-stop rule. So Verheyen has a qualifying ban. There was also no further action for an incident between Scopefielder and Danestar. Talking of Danestar, he goes up into second at the moment. Amazingly, had the most wins of any driver so far this season, so we know he's got the pace. And again, a win tonight, he's still got a chance of winning the championship in Vietnam, and anything could happen around that circuit.
It most certainly could, but Rimpey's got the fastest Sector 2 in the early going, so Daniel has room to improve.
Yeah, Rimpey flying around at the moment. Shame for him that he's invalidated his lap, but I think we will see a lot of invalidations around here. It looks like Jimbo Manzi is improving though as he comes around the final couple of corners, determined to seal that top 5 in the championship and help Red Bull win the Constructors. In the end, he actually lost quite a bit of time. Well, says he's improved, but only still in 8th position at the moment, so did gain time in every single sector. Unfortunately for him, didn't work out well enough. Scopefielder has gone purple in Sector 1, and of course, if you want to find out how all the drivers are doing in the session, you can use the telemetry assist system, or TAS. exclamation mark help will come up with all the commands for you in the chat, and they will change, of course, for the race and qualifying. I wish I was as good as Scopefield around the circuits that I don't enjoy, because he seems to be doing very well at the moment, although Janel, he's now gone purple in Sector 1. Maybe it's getting drier, maybe they're just getting used to the track a bit more.
I think it's a little bit of both. It seems to have eased up ever so slightly. I'm on board with Khalifa right now as he's going through Maggots and Beckett's, and that's the worst time to say that, as he nearly loses it for the second time this lap. I was looking at the Delta times, and Jimbo Manzi was heavily down in Sector 2 to what he could have done, so that's probably why he hasn't improved that much overall.
Yeah, we'll see if Scopefielder can improve though. As he comes around the final corner, he can do more than improve. 1:34.470. I think we might though see someone get into the 1:33s here if Janel can nail his lap through club just outside a 1:34.160. Great lap from Ollie Flavelle as well in the McLaren. Third place, a second off the top two. At the moment, we normally see such close racing in Precision Tier. We've had the entire grid split by a second on some occasions this season. You do tend to get more of a gap though in these wet conditions. What can Danestar do? Can he get into the 1:34s as well and challenge the front row? Does improve into the 1:34s, still half a second off Scopefielder though. The top four in the championship are currently the top four on the grid, and I'm sure that's exactly where we would want them to be when it comes to the race, because that could lead to some fantastic action as Ollie Flavelle comes into the pits. We'll probably see them all, of course. They might as well use all of intermediate tyres, because they're not going to need them for the race if it's going to be fully dry.
Well, that's a very good point that people may have missed in the openings, but yeah, you shouldn't have any need for intermediates or wets in the race, as it's supposed to be fully dry, but you never really know with Silverstone being in Great Britain. It could throw down at the drop of a hat.
We could have a 40-degree race, we could have 40 degrees centigrade, we could have 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Kelvin. I'd be a bit worried about that, but you never quite know with the British weather. As Lukey makes his way around the final corner, he is into 12th position at the moment. He says he does enjoy this track, even though it doesn't think it's the fastest. He says, like Maggots and Beckett's, an amazing corner, and just hoping for a top 10 tonight, which, given his form over the last couple of races, if you ignore Australia, where he got some damage and it really didn't go well for him, should definitely possible for Lukey to get in the top 10. He's driving for Alfa Romeo. They were one of the teams brought to the team's press conference, saying, of course, how well they've done in Prospect with Gus Fring, who is the champion. Are they looking for some fresh faces across the rest of the tiers? To be fair, I think that's a bit unfair. I think Alfa Romeo have put in a very respectable job. They're sort of leading those best of the rest pack at the moment. Obviously, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and AlphaTauri are way clear, but Alfa Romeo 5th in the championship at the moment. It's been a decent season, if nothing spectacular, from Lukey and Jonas, I think.
Yeah, it is a little bit harsh, as you say, and Lukey's been doing a great job all season. He just hasn't always had the results he necessarily deserves, which sort of has a knock-on effect for the team. They are doing better than some people may see, though, so I think Lukey's going to do something special tonight as well. So hopefully I'm right on that one. I'm just looking for, there's a yellow flag, but that's just James Dovey on his debut going a little bit wide, so he's just backed out of a lap.
Great lap though from AJ MCM. We haven't seen him score points for a while here, not since his first race of the season, I don't believe, at Belgium, where he finished in 9th position. Great lap from him to take 4th place on 4-lap old intermediate, so there's definitely more time to be found from him. Danestar moved up into 3rd as well. This qualifying session seems to have just flown by at the moment. Only 7 minutes remaining. Janil still on top. He's going back out on track as Mr. Simp, a man who was extremely confident, and every time he's finished has got on the podium. He moves up into 5th place at the moment. Got a feel for him, it's going to be a bit of a season of what might could have been. He had that disconnection in Austria where who knows if he'd have had a chance to win that race. He's had a bit of bad luck at other tracks, but he's definitely got the pace, if he does stay in this tier next season for season 17, to be a really good title contender.
Yeah, you have to start thinking about season 17 now, with a lot of people out of contention, but they want to put a very strong finish in so they can start off the next season in the best possible terms, and he's definitely one of the drivers that will be staking a claim to the championship next season.
Yeah, most definitely. We've had Stixel. He's managed to go off the circuit somewhere and broke his front wing. That is why he's come back into the pits. Khalifa, though, 8 tenths up on his personal best. through Sector 2. Those fresh tyres really working in the drier conditions. Very careful not to invalidate through Chapel. He caught the grass a bit there. You can get away with that in the dry. You cannot get away with it at all in the wet. But he's a second up on his personal best. Purple through Sector 1. Green through Sector 2. This could well make it a Mercedes 1-2. The game imitating real life. If we get that happening, what can he do as he rounds the final couple of corners? Can Khalifa challenge for pole position? Just behind Schofield, less than a tenth of a second behind. Lost a bit of time in the final sector. Third place for him. He's another driver who we know has got the pace. He just sort of went off the boil a bit, but still could help Mercedes win the Constructors' Championship, of course.
Yep, the Constructors is far from decided, so he'll definitely be looking to try and get... Oh, that's not going to help matters if they do that in the race. That could have been very hair-raising as Janel went off track and nearly collected his cigarette on the way back on, but no harm done in the end. But you would definitely hope that they could work together in the race and give themselves a better opportunity of winning the Constructors.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll see what Ollie Flavel can do. He now goes up into third place. It's starting to close up at the top, but no one has really looked like challenging Janel's lap at the moment. And I suppose in a way that is where, whoa, he's gone way off there as Ollie Flavel done well to hold on to the car and avoid having a big accident. I suppose that's where he's at a slight disadvantage, is the McLaren driver, because no disrespect to Kelvin, all the other three people who still have a chance of winning the title have their teammates near the front to help him. Kelvin's only got 1 point so far this season, and that was from the fastest lap outside the top 10, so Ollie's going to have to do it all on his own and not really be able to rely on any team games, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps he will, but I can't really say anything about one teammate being over the other. Just check the standings in Prospect and you'll see why I'll refuse to comment on that one.
I mean, luckily for me, well, when I do league race, it's absolutely terrible. Anyone who's seen that knows it's an achievement if I can actually make it to the checkered flag, so it's not too surprising to see that I haven't scored many points in my league racing career. We'll see what James Dovey is doing then in the Racing Point. He is one of the race premium drivers here at One Hub, so of course that includes his season entry fee for this season and the next season if he wishes to join, and he gets a few bonuses on the website as well. It doesn't make you any faster though. He's going to have to do that all by himself, and we'll see if he can improve on his personal best. Indeed he does. Jumps ahead of Schicksal into the 135s for him. He moves up into 12th position. Racing Point's currently rooted to the foot of the table in the Constructors' Championship. Just 6 points at the moment, despite Rimpey and Ollie M2000, who James has replaced, showing decent form on occasion this season. See if anyone looks like they are improving at the moment. Lukey's done a better time in Sector 1. Not a personal best, though, in Sector 2, so maybe not enjoying these wet conditions as much as he would have done in the dry. It does all seem to be closing up, though, in the midfield at the moment. You can see Mr. Sim on a 135.0. Rimpey 9 thousandths behind him. Pretty close between Jonas, Jimbo and James Dovey as well. Lukey comes around the final corner, only moves up to 13th. Something we haven't mentioned, obviously, because of these conditions. They will every driver will have the free choice of tyre in the race. Yeah, that's also a good point that I would have mentioned earlier, but I just got excited watching cars go around the track. It's definitely an advantage if you can start on fresher tyres at the start of a race, but whether they go for the softs and gamble on an early safety car to go to the mediums to get a stop out of the way, that remains to be seen. But I'm pretty sure people outside the top 10 may try that gamble, but people in the top 10 will just be softs all the way regardless, because that's what they've usually done in a dry quali session. Yeah, we will have to see how it goes. Expect to see soft, medium because of how high the tyre wear is around this circuit. Just ask both of the Mercedes drivers as James Dovey, fourth lap on the intermediates, gets himself into the top 10. I think it's going to be hard to see an improvement or see any further improvement from him. Schofielder not improving on his lap either at this moment in time. So a lot of drivers leaving it quite late, as you would expect, to try and get the best of the track conditions. Janil currently fastest on a 134.160, and it looks like Schnicksel's found some time, 6 tenths up on his personal best at the moment. He said his goal for this race is the same for every race he's done so far this season, and I can't blame him because it has worked. Keep it clean, try and stay in the DRS, pick up a few points.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that strategy. It's perfectly legitimate, and if he can do it, all the credit to him for being consistent with that, as Schnitzel goes into P10, who would be hoping for keeping it clean also with no mistakes and getting some points, as well as he thinks that it's getting the line right through Chapel can really bite you if you get it slightly wrong, but he feels great going through Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. So there's definitely a lot of drivers interacting with the press this week in the drivers' interviews, which, you know, it's probably not the right time to thank our sponsors for that. We'll do that in a bit, but just thought I should point that out while I was looking at Schnitzel doing a lap.
Yeah, his teammate won't be doing another lap though. He went way wide at Luffield. I think he has got quite heavy front wing damage, and he's just going to... I think he tried to retire the car there in qualifying, and he's actually not done that well. He could do with taking some lessons from me on how to write off a car around the Silverstone circuit. J-Luke has gone up into 5th place on his... what looks like it's probably going to be his one and only lap, so a fantastic job from him. Danestar, personal best in the first 2 sectors. He's currently in 6th and last of the title contenders at the moment. Scopefielder unable to improve. Checkered flag is out for qualifying. Can Danestar maybe get himself onto the front row of the grid in the Red Bull as he comes around Club, drops the throttle, only moves up into 5th place. Just look how close it is though. From 2nd to 5th, less than a tenth of a second. Mr. Simp, he won't be able to go any higher than 8th. Doesn't look like we were seeing many improvements, although Khalifa has gone purple in Sector 2. Last time out, he looked good at the start of the lap, and it all went wrong around the final few corners. Could still get that Mercedes 1-2.
Yeah, it's definitely still on. We'll see how he gets on as he comes around the final couple of corners. But he definitely looked a lot stronger on this lap than he has previously in the session. He went best, his personal best Sector 2 there, and his personal best Sector 3 will put him P2 overall. Brilliant effort.
Yeah, despite the massive drift that he had going on through Club there. His teammate, however, Janelle, he was purple in Sector 2, but Ollie Flavelle has now taken that, so he might still have a bit of a fight in this qualifying session. Janelle comes across the line. Fastest of everyone, a 1:34.059. What can Ollie Flavelle do in the McLaren? He moves up ahead of Scopefielder to take 3rd position. Have we got anyone else on a lap? Rimpe, he's gone faster than his personal best through the middle sector at the moment, so could find himself sneaking up ahead of Mr. Simp. Doesn't need to find much time to beat him. Finds quite a bit of time in the end. He goes up into 6th position. Seen a few other cars. Jimbo Manzi has come into the pits. I imagine that is pretty much it then for this qualifying session, and it looks like it is a Mercedes 1-2. Fantastic for the Constructors' Championship for them. Equally fantastic for Janelle as he looks to try and secure the Drivers' Championship. If the race finishes how qualifying is going though, Ollie Flavelle would still have a chance coming into Vietnam. This is going to be a fantastic race.
Oh, definitely. They're shaping up to be a classic, and yeah, that was definitely all the cars have done their laps in qualifying. We will confirm the grid very shortly, but while we wait for the game to catch up, I'll take this time to once again thank our sponsors who do this for us. We have first sponsor is Liam13, who can be found on Facebook Gaming, and the second one is Next Level Racing, who will be providing a wheel stand to the winner of the Going Gets Tough award.
Yes, and the going definitely was tough in that qualifying session, but it's a Mercedes 1-2. Janil beating Khalifa. Ollie Flavelle is 3rd. Scopefielder in 4th as he tries to keep his title hopes alive. Danestar 5th. Great lap from Rimpe on 6th. J-Luke 7th. AJ 8th. Mr. Simp 9th. Schnitzel is 10th. Kian in 11th. James Dovey 12th. And Jimbo, Jonas, Lukey, Lawrence actually has a 5-place penalty, which we missed. That will put him to the back behind Kelvin and behind Verheyen, who had that qualifying ban. That was a perfect session for Mercedes. We saw the other drivers did improve as the session goes on, but a bit like last time out in Australia, where Janil did that crazy lap. He just seemed to get it bang on at the start, and no one really, until the end, looked like getting close to that. It is a bit overcast at Silverstone, so tyre temperatures might not be as high as usual, which I'm sure the drivers will be happy about, but we have been told there's no rain. Like Matt said, take that with a pinch of salt. It's all set up for an absolutely cracking 26 laps.
It definitely is, and I'm very excited for this one. I've been excited all week because it's Silverstone, but knowing this tier and what we've seen before, this is taking into hyperdrive for me, as all the boys on the grid are being good engines. No, they're not. As I say that, AJ's getting a penalty. Whoops.
I think that's his 4th of the season. I don't know if there's a record for readying up before the host, but if there is, bravo. He might have just broken that record. I'm not sure it's one he'll want. All the drivers, of course, getting their strategies ready. It's a compulsory 2-stop rule. Kelvin has fallen foul of that twice so far this season, and there's been a few others in other tiers as well. I think Cloudy Balloons might have done that earlier on as well. But the drivers getting ready for their formation laps. As I just said, you can completely ignore those predicted strategies because they have to do 2 stops, and that is the tyres. Most of the field going for the softs, apart from Kelvin, Jonas, Jimbo, and more importantly for the championship, Danestar and Ollie.
Yeah, that's actually a smart move by them. I don't know if they knew at the time selecting they're going opposite to their rivals, but it's just a smarter thing to do, because if there is an early safety car, yes, you get 1 stop out the way, but you will give up track position while you switch your tyres, and those on mediums can just carry on by.
Yeah, we will have to see how that works. We've seen a few mixed up positions before. I think at Australia we had a bit of a mix-up with the field when there was early safety cars. We've seen it happen in Canada as well. It can definitely stir things up in the order. We've got Scopefielder in between Ollie and Danestar, those on the medium tyres, so he'll be hoping that he can get past Ollie pretty early on. Even a win might not be good enough for him to stay in the championship if Janil finishes on the podium. So needs a good performance and needs to hope for a bit of misfortune. We said we could see a win in the Constructors' Championship tonight. Mercedes are 9 points ahead of Red Bull, so it is likely that will carry on to Vietnam. AlphaTauri and McLaren still with slim chances of winning the Constructors' Championship, which of course does come with some One Hub merchandise and a trophy sponsored by Liam 1-3. Do we dare make any predictions for this race? Because we've not usually been the best, have we, so far this season at predicting how things are going to go?
No, not really, but I'll stand by what I said earlier off stream with who was it now? Scott Fielder, not feeling that confident. I reckon he's going to smash it. I'll stick with that one, but other than that, anything can happen, and it very often does.
Yes, I'm going to make a prediction that the championship is going to go on to Vietnam. I'm not sure who's going to win, but I think it will all just work out, so we have a last race battle at the Hanoi Street Circuit. Janil, though, he'll be hoping to avoid that, and he's got the best position possible. A second pole position in a row for him. His 4th this season, more than anyone else, gives him the best possible chance, and he's got his teammates behind him. What can Ollie, Scopefield and Danestar do on those different strategies for Ollie and Danestar as we're waiting for the lights to come on here at Silverstone? We've got 5 lights. The precision tier is underway here at Silverstone, and it is a very good start from Khalifa. He might get alongside his teammate here, and I think in the end he backs out ever so slightly. Ollie just holding on from Scopefielder for now. Rimpe's got ahead of Danestar in the early changes as Scopefielder goes to chuck one down the inside of Ollie Flavel. We've got a few cars running wide, but it looks like they've all managed to make their way through the first part of the track successfully. Janil now starting to escape from Khalifa, his teammate. Can Ollie Flavel use the slipstream down the Wellington Straight to get himself up into second place? Danestar battling with Rimpe further back as well. Goes down the inside into Brocklands. Expect the racing point to try and hold it off all the way around the outside, because that will give him the inside line for Luffield. And I think Danestar on those mediums just hasn't got the grip to stay in that position at this moment in time. So a brilliant start from Janil. Does look like everyone's got through cleanly. You can see Verheyen has gained some time, and it looks like he was trying to get past Lukey there, who forcefully shoved him towards the old National Pit Straight wall to make sure he couldn't get a move done into Cops. But an absolutely brilliant start from the 2 Mercedes. They've stayed first and second. Danestar just starting on those mediums, probably costing him at the start, and you can see how much pressure he's under now from AJ.
Yeah, he's definitely got the inferior tyre right now, but as I said earlier, you can stretch that and he'll get the track position back later, but it's just a question of how much time he's going to lose to the soft runners in and around him. For now, as Lawrence had a great start too, he's up to 15th from the back. And he looked like,
AJ's round. Sorry to interrupt you. AJ is around. Thankfully he goes, as everyone is just able to go through him. but that could have been very scary indeed. So Janil still in the lead of this race, Khalifa in second, Ollie staying in third place as the timing tower does what the timing tower does. Scopefielder still hanging on the back of Ollie, and he really needs to be pressuring him once his DRS is active. He needs to get past early on to make this starting on the softs work.
Yeah, that would be great. And Jimbo Manzi's just been passed by Lawrence now, so Jimbo's down to 15th. I wouldn't really expect that from Red Bull at this stage, but he is on the mediums, so I'm sure he'll come back into it later to help out his teammate, who's in P6. So not the best start for Red Bull.
Yeah, this could be interesting with both Red Bulls being on the medium tyres. That could cause a bit of problems if we have a safety car, because we know a double stack doesn't work fantastically. What we love to see as we look at the TAS system, no damage whatsoever on the first lap, despite AJ's spin and Jimbo nearly having another spin as well. He's really struggling at the moment on those medium tyres. Thankfully for him, James wasn't close enough to gain. He lost 3 places on that lap. As we were saying, biggest loser, obviously AJ, 10 places. Verheyen going up 6, Lukey and Lawrence going up 5 as well. But Janil in the lead of this race, half a second ahead of his teammate for now. The fastest lap once again. He's got that gap up to 8 tenths, and Ollie, crucially for him, just about he needs to stick in that 1 second mark. It just went over as I was saying that. Otherwise, Scopefielder could put him under real pressure.
Yeah, he will be getting some pressure very shortly, especially down the Wellington Straight. That's a big opportunity for Scopefielder to get in front of Ollie. But Ollie won't make it easy, of course. We've seen that on a few occasions this season. This is far from a simple pass.
Yeah,
Can he do it?
It looked for a second there as if Rimpe was actually closer to passing Scopefielder, as Danestar, he's a bit further back, which is surprising from a man who has won around this circuit before. Danestar's been very good previously around this track. He's actually won twice around here, as has Jono. Ermi and Lewis, the biggest winners around here. Unsurprisingly, we always seem to say Ermi's name every week for that. He has taken 3 victories, but it did look a bit like there as Scopefielder gets himself a penalty. Maybe this is what he meant about struggling around this circuit. It did look as though Rimpe was closer to Scopefielder than Scopefielder was to Ollie, and once again that seems to be the case. It's just with this DRS train effect that we always talk about, probably going to make it very hard for the Racing Point to move up.
Yeah, it will be certainly hard, although Scopefielder going wide like that's going to make it a little bit easier for Rimpe. Scopefielder definitely is struggling, and he definitely wasn't lying when he said he didn't like it here, was he? I thought he was just bluffing to try and, trick people into a false sense of security, but clearly not.
Yeah, it does seem to still be struggling at this moment in time, so thankfully we have still got all 18 runners, the 2 Mercedes just ahead of this battle at the moment. Everything seems to be settling down. We did see a change of position between Jonas and Kelvin, and it looks like Kelvin is going to try and get that position back at this moment in time. He's down in 16th and 17th. They still have a chance of getting a point, of course, in one hub. The fastest lap in the top 10 and the fastest lap outside the top 10 do get themselves a point. Rimpe again all over the back of Scopefielder, who it does seem like Ollie is just holding them up ever so slightly at the moment, because now Danestar's been able to catch up as well. This could present an opportunity for an undercut, maybe for one of these soft tyre runners, if they feel like they're being held up, obviously, with the 2-stop situation. Just come into the pit, stick on a set of medium tyres, and see what you can do in fresh air.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned undercut, and as we know, Khalifa loves to do that, so maybe he'll go first. We don't know, of course, at this point who's going to pit first, because they're not at the pit lane yet. But the Mercedes are the closest of anyone, so we'll see which one of those will go in first out of the 2 teammates. You would imagine that Janil has the pit stop advantage, but Khalifa can do the opposite and can see if he goes in, he'll stay out. If he stays out, he'll slip in when the time is right.
Yep, and J-Luke has come into the pits then, so he's only decided to do 4 laps on those soft tyres. We do expect most of the drivers will go for a soft, medium strategy around this circuit just because of the tyre wear, so he's coming into the pits and medium tyres going onto the Haas car. I'm sure we'll keep an eye on what his lap times are, because he could gain himself a bit of time here. Mr. Simp, I think, for a second, got ahead of Danestar there and now quickly drops back behind. Maybe that pit stop from J-Luke might just trigger a few others to come in earlier than they would have liked, because they'll be so wary of the undercut around this track. They don't want to get stuck behind someone because we said it is possible to overtake, but what we're seeing at the moment seems to suggest that unless you're got quite a carve advantage over those ahead and quite a pace advantage, you are going to find it difficult just because of how fast it is through the corners leading onto the DRS zones. I mean, we've seen already a lot of cars get very loosey-goosey through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel.
Yeah, it's definitely trickier than it looks to overtake around here, although they look simple, they never are. And especially, as you mentioned, the loose cars, especially if you catch a little bit too much grass, as we saw James do there as he comes through Maggots and Beckett's. So it's definitely not all plain sailing for anyone at this stage. It's all very sort of who's going to bow first as Mr. Simp is in.
Yeah, just gets it slowed down to that 37 miles an hour, 60 kilometres an hour. He was having a big battle with Danestar when he came in. Kian gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Lawrence deciding to stay out. So quite a lot of the soft runners coming in there. Interestingly as well, Jimbo Manzi on the medium tyres coming into the pits after only 5 laps. He didn't have any damage, so very surprised to see him come in. He's putting the soft tyres on. Safe to say this race already not looking like it has gone to plan for Jimbo. Will J. Luke have been able to gain any time in all of that? As Schofielder trying to go round the outside of Ollie Flavel. He's made it work. He's got himself up into 3rd position despite being on the soft tyres, which you would now expect to be a bit worse. And you can see there, J. Luke has now managed to jump ahead of Mr. Simp and all the rest by quite a margin. This undercut could have worked out absolutely fantastically for J. Luke.
Yeah, it's not even close, and somehow he'll get word to other people. They'll be paying attention. Hopefully they'll think Khalifa's in the lead. How's that happened?
That's a fantastic spot. Yeah, Khalifa in the lead of this race. Got to imagine it's on the DRS somewhere around here. So he has taken the lead. It's quite a long way ahead of Janil. I didn't see a swap into down the Wellington straight or down the Hangar straight either. They're staying out a bit longer as well. Schofielder, you can see in the background, dives it into the pits as Lawrence gets himself a time penalty. Danestar in as well. These drivers on the medium tyres, they don't seem to be enjoying it, do they, as Lawrence gets a speeding penalty there. Well, Khalifa, though, absolutely flying around at the moment. He now has the fastest lap of the race, so he's loving those tyres.
Yeah, the mediums aren't great when you first put them on. They're not that brilliant, but they're just a better race tyre because you can take them longer. But is that the smartest thing to do? Possibly not. I wish I'd have listened to that earlier. I'd have done a different thing in prospect, but hopefully these drivers are learning all the time about who's doing what, and especially Ollie Flavel, who's trying to get back past Rimpey but can't quite do it. It's a fantastic battle so far, and we're only on lap 7. There's an awful lot more to come, and I can't wait.
Yeah, certainly. Fantastic move there by Rimpey. He said he feels like he's got the pace. If he keeps it clean to get some points, he's on for a podium. At the moment, only 1 point so far this season. This could well be his best result, and his teammate on debut in 5th as well. J. Luke and Schofield are battling. Oh, Schofielder's round, and Danestar's got into him. 2 of the title rivals have hit each other, and Danestar, that is cruel because I don't think that was his fault. He's got a 5-second penalty. Carnage already on lap 7. We were waiting for something to happen in this race at Silverstone, and there it is. Schofield around, Danestar into the side of him. Danestar will definitely have to pit. I'm not sure if Schofielder will either. Yeah, Danestar's got big front wing damage. It's dropped Schofielder all the way down to 17th place as Janil comes into the pits. Didn't quite. We saw that J. Luke and Schofielder were close together. We know the car on the inside spins, and I think Danestar just got a bit unlucky. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, possibly. It's really hard to see what happened. I was looking at so many of the things that were going on. There was battles all over the place. I didn't foresee the Red Bulls coming together like that, though. That's definitely spiced this race up a little bit. As Janel's gone in for the undercut. See how much advantage he gets as Khalifa goes round for another lap, obviously, as he was ahead and didn't pit, so his teammate took the initiative, as we mentioned a few moments ago. But now Rimpey's up into P2 at the moment. This is a sensational looking grid so far. We're only on lap 8. How could it get better than this? Keep watching, you'll find out in about 3 minutes. Yeah,
definitely. Those on the mediums, they don't. We say they're a better race tyre. They don't seem to be enjoying it too much at the moment. Last lap, J. Luke 128.5, Mr. Simp 128.3. Janil did a, well, time before did a, not Janil, sorry, he did a 133.1 obviously because he pitted, but Khalifa did a 128.6 and Rimpe did a 128.4 as Khalifa comes into the pits. These softs were still in pretty decent condition as Ollie Flavel comes into the pits, so on his debut, James Dovey leads the race.
That's just, wow, brilliant. He can't have expected this, surely. Like, I think he's probably expecting just to finish the race would be great, but to lead on your debut, that's... Not many people have done that.
No, but it's Marcus Winkelhock all over again, and amazingly, of course, for the same team, just a different iteration. Ollie Flavel coming back out on the soft tyres, of course, after starting on those mediums, so we'll see what sort of pace he has, and we'll see how much the undercut has worked. Janil streets ahead of his teammate at the moment, retakes the lead of the race, and J. Luke in a net third place, all because of that undercut. Mr. Simp in a net fourth, Rimpe staying ahead of Ollie Flavel, and obviously Dainstar now finds himself 36 seconds off the back of the field. We said before the race started, you can't afford to get damaged because a free stop around here is really going to cost you. It looks that could well be the end for his title hopes and Scopefielders as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sometimes, unfortunately, these things happen. But it's definitely not looking good right now, but there's still a long way to go. So hopefully, if they've had a bit of bad luck, they'll be thinking, surely my rivals can too. So it's definitely not over yet, but you have to try not to do that again, as Rimpe gets a 3-second penalty there, so that's not ideal. But he's still having a solid race nonetheless.
Yeah, he is. Oh, James. He's got himself a 5-second speeding penalty. We have seen a few 3-second penalties. Rimpe's just got one. Mr. Simp has got one. Mr. Simp's got DRS. He's got the slipstream. Has he got sixth position? No, oh, he might have. Bit of a... I think J. Luke got a bit spooked there by that move from Mr. Simp, but it seems to have worked. There's a bit of wheel banging between them. Can J. Luke go down the inside into Vale? Mr. Simp's going to have the inside for the second part of Vale and Club, and he takes sixth position as Janil doing a bit of what he did after he pitted in Australia. Fastest lap of the race by quite a margin, half a second there over anyone else. He's leading this race. He's 1.5 seconds ahead of his teammate. It's looking pretty good for him at this moment in time as Ollie Flavel down the inside of Rimpe. That's a very brave move, and that's what he's going to need to do to stay in this championship hunt. It's now going to be a straight drag race. He's going to have the extra grip through the corner. Has he got the straight line speed? It looks as though Rimpe is still just about hanging on to that position. Ollie's down the inside though into Brooklands, takes seventh position. Rimpe there trying his best earlier on in the lap to overtake Mr. Simp. He's now got two cars in between them.
Yeah, it's getting spicy, this. You mentioned he was a little bit spooked. I'm thinking, oh, has Halloween started a bit early? Because of course it is Halloween in a couple of weeks. So maybe he had. Maybe he was thinking what to put on his door. Maybe a skeleton or something. But as you see that, there's racing going on, and this is fantastic.
Yes, it is Lawrence, so he's crashed into the old pit wall just on the exit of Woodcote, so he's got big front wing damage. He'll be coming into the pits for two leaders of Jonas and Kelvin come into the pits. Everyone has made their first pit stop. Janil is leading this race. That 1.6 second gap seems to have shrunk dramatically all of a sudden because Khalifa is right up his exhaust pipe at the moment. Ignore that strategy again. They've not worked the AWS logo whatsoever. So Janil leading, Khalifa second, Mr. Simp on for continuing his 100% record of podiums when he finishes in third, but he's got J. Luke, Ollie and Rimpe behind him, and then Verheyen and Luki currently battling over 7th and 8th place. Jimbo Manzi is 9th, Schnitzel in the final points position at this moment in time. Khalifa absolutely shot up to the back of his teammate on that lap. I think Janil must have made a mistake because it was 1.3 seconds slower than his previous lap. Just needs to be a bit careful. If anything, with all that's going on, he might not know about what happened with Scopefielder and Dainstar. He might do. He just needs to take it easy and avoid getting any penalties, crucially. At the moment, he seems to be doing that because he's had no warnings.
Yeah, well, you can't get cleaner than that. That's a fantastic start. Can he keep it up? I think he will. He doesn't get many, does he? As he gets a little bit wide as he comes out of Maggots and Beckett's there, takes the grass, that probably evened it up a little bit, and Khalifa's got to get the DRS, but I think he's a little bit too far back to try anything, but Khalifa will try it anyway, possibly just outbrake his teammate, and takes the lead back again.
So Khalifa back in the lead. Ollie Flavel back into 4th position round the outside of Stowe on J-Luke, using the extra grip on those soft tyres. Now can he get past Mr. Sim, as well as Kian and James Dovey are battling, and Kian in the end, James was even wider than him, and if Kian got a warning, James definitely will have done. They're fighting hard over what is 12th position at the moment. James trying to use the best of those softer tyres. Lawrence has been in for his second stop. He's put the hard tyres on, so he's not intending to pit again. He will be going to the end. It still looks overcast, but we believe the race is going to be fully dry, and we've yet to have a safety car, and that could easily affect this race, as Ollie straight away on the back of Mr. Sim, straight away down the inside, back onto a podium position. Is Mr. Sim going to be able to fight back? No, he will not this time around, but he will get DRS down the next straight. Now Ollie needs to push like crazy to get onto the back of those two Mercedes drivers. If he finishes on the podium, doesn't matter if Janelle wins, he's still got a chance of winning the championship in Vietnam. That's got to be his aim at the moment, is to catch up those guys and put a bit of pressure on them, because it looks a bit easier for the Brackley boys, you've got to say, after 12 laps.
Yeah, it does look a bit easy for the Mercedes out front so far, but it's not easy for J-Luke, who's always battling at the moment. He's in 5th place, but he's got Rinpei behind him and Mr. Simp ahead of him. So what does he prioritise at the moment? Keeping Rinpei behind, or does he want to get ahead of Mr. Simp? It's a tricky situation to be in, but it is a fantastic battle to watch. And Ollie's just leading that train there, so he should be okay for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think if Luke wants to think about overtaking, he might need to get his ERS above 15% at the well, 17 at the moment. He seems to be really struggling on that, and that could cost him. As Stixel is into the pits, that is very early for a second stop, and I can't see anywhere where it says he has damage, so that's interesting indeed. Jonas sets the fastest lap of the race, as you would expect, on the soft tyres. I imagine Snixel will probably try and get to the end on a set of medium tyres then. Hopefully he can keep it nice and clean once again, as now James and Jonas are battling, and Jonas has got ahead of James very briefly indeed. The Racing Point's trying to hold it off around the outside. Now it's a straight drag race again. They've both got DRS, and Jonas is ahead. And while that's happening, Lukey, his teammate, is trying to get ahead of Verheyen at this moment in time for 7th and 8th position. Out in front though, it is still Khalifa, about half a second ahead of Janil. I wonder if it's like this on lap 26 in 13 laps time, if we'd see a swap between the two of them. It'd certainly make the most sense. We've seen Khalifa say early on in the season he's happy to help his teammate. Surely if they're coming into this situation on the final lap, we'd just see Janil cruise past Khalifa.
Yeah, we definitely will see that, but that's a long way from being a possibility at this stage. They're just 50% into this race, which of course means there's 50% still to go. I've been waiting to say that all season, and I've finally been able to do that.
I set you up perfectly there without even meaning to. Jimbo Manzi on those soft tyres. Well, we've been talking about that as well. We've been quoting the great Murray Walker, and belated happy birthday to him for last Saturday. 97 years young and somehow still not got a knighthood. That needs sorting out sooner rather than later. Jimbo, he's managed to sort out Verheyen and Lukey. He's up into 7th place, finding these soft tyres a lot better than he found the mediums. It doesn't look like there's actually too much difference in terms of pace and tyre life between the softs and the mediums. Maybe, obviously, a lap or two longer for the mediums, but that's it.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be as much of a difference as I was noticing, but I think there's a yellow flag. There's a car facing the wrong way. That's Lawrence just getting the hards up to temperature. He's been off the track trying to do that. They are tricky to maintain in a window, especially if it's slightly cooler. But he's done the right thing. He's gone out of the hard to try to get to the end. And who knows, he might be able to sneak a point at the end if the retirements or strategy might come back to him.
I'll tell you what, he is a lucky duck not to cause a safety car, because I was about to say, if you're a big crash around some of these corners like Chapel, it can cause a safety car, and Kelvin has just done that on the exit of Cops. Full safety car. Are we going to see some drivers dive into the pits? Khalifa stays out. Lawrence and Janil come in to the pits. Of course, this is brilliant for Lawrence, because he'll be able to catch right back up to the pack. Ollie Flavel coming in as well, and Khalifa is going to catch the safety car. So bad news for him, because he's going to have to go very slowly indeed. Janil on the soft tyres? That's an interesting one. I'd have thought you'd have gone for the mediums.
It's a brave call. Definitely brave. We'll see if... I mean, I know he's going to do at least 2 behind the safety car, sometimes 3. So I think he's thinking, law of averages, maybe he'd be able to squeak them to the end, but I wouldn't want to risk it. I'd have gone for the safe bet, put the mediums on, the fresher mediums. Your teammate will be behind you at some point because of this. He has to pit again, I think. But in any mode, it's definitely very strange to see a lot of them putting softs on now. That is weird.
I think what that proves is that maybe we should just leave the tyre talk, what tyres to go on, to the professionals, because clearly the softs must be the right strategy in these cooler conditions as well, and under the safety car, probably having no worries whatsoever. Only Lukey, he's gone on to a set of mediums. Schnitzel sort of preempted the safety car, he's now up into 10th, and AJ, his teammate, on the mediums, as is Lawrence as well, whereas Khalifa is going to have to do the full lap behind the safety car, and I know why he stayed out, because obviously if he'd have come in, Janil would have either got held up with a double stack, or Janil would have had to stay out, and now he'd be in this situation, cruising back behind the safety car and getting held up. This might be a time for Janil maybe to just play a bit of a team game here and drive a bit slower than his Delta, just to try and help his teammate out ever so slightly, who is probably going to lose the lead of this race and maybe lose a few other positions as well, as Lawrence, he's had a severe collision with Khalifa, so that's a 5-second penalty for Khalifa, and I believe he'll have to serve that in this pit stop.
How's that even happened? I didn't think he was anywhere near him on the track, but unfortunately it looks like he will have to serve that, and that's gonna... I guess it's gonna help his teammate, but unintentionally on this occasion. I don't think he'd want to have a 5-second penalty, just to let his teammate get ahead of him, but stranger things have happened, and who knows? He will now have the fresher tyres at the end, I guess, technically, but they're not doing any proper laps on them, so we'll see what happens, and when the safety car comes in, it's game on again.
Yeah, it is. Luke has decided that seeing as everyone else has gone onto the softs, he might as well try the same thing, so he's coming back in for the soft tyres. If Khalifa, he was in the lead of this race, he's had that 5-second penalty, he got stuck behind the safety car, he's now in 14th position. What this has done, of course, is brought Schofield was still sort of in it, but Dainstar's now going to catch up to the back of these guys, and because he's going to be allowed to push a bit harder, he might just have a bit more tyre temperature than everyone else. He's going to be someone to watch over the final 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, it's really shaping up to be very interesting and very, very confusing in parts, but I'm loving every second of this. And we'll see what Dainstar does, as you say. It's currently third, definitely needs to get some points, and he's not getting any at the moment. But Janel is winning the race, so he's had the luck today, Janel, but it's not over yet.
It is not over whatsoever. The man leading the championship leads the race. The man second in the championship is second in the race. You got J. Luke doing a good job, and he was showing some good pace. That undercut earlier on, that decision to come into the pits, has been absolutely vindicated now. He's on the same age of tyres as those around him, and he is on for what would be his first podium of the season, and the team's as well. And this will be a good time to talk about penalties, because obviously they have a much bigger effect under the safety car. We'll just quickly mention J. Luke has 3 seconds, Simp has 6, Rimpe has 3, as well as does Schnitzel actually has 3, Schofield does as well. That's for penalties in the top 10, as AJ has been off the circuit trying to warm up his tyres. He's donutting in the hangar straight. That is not ideal. Safety car coming in this lap.
Well, he's certainly warmed his tyres up, but I think he's going a little bit too far the other way with donuts, and all the cars bunch up again as the safety car's in the pits. This is the bit I hate about this game. Everyone is not this slow, and it makes them drive, and it seems like they all don't know what they're doing, but these guys definitely do. I can reassure you of that, and we're racing again.
Yeah, we are racing again. Janel with a perfect restart, though. He is in the lead. Mr. Simp trying to close up onto the back of J. Luke. Schnitzel, he could be someone who might struggle in these early stages on the older medium tyres, as Khalifa has got his way past James Dovey and Lukey as well. He's already up into 12th, and Dainstar trying to fight between these guys as well. No DRS, of course, until the end of lap 18. A Schofielder up into 8th place on the soft tyres. Can he somehow keep himself in this championship battle? He's going to need to realistically win this race and hope that Janel drops a few places down the order as well. Jimbo Manzi all over the back of Rimpe as they head through Copse for the 17th time this race, and the first time under racing conditions since the safety car came back in, as Lukey is all over the back of James Dovey at this moment in time, not able to get a move done there. Dainstar not able to take advantage as AJ's off again, gives the wall a slight tap through Copse. I'm not quite sure what happened to him there, because it's very weird. You see a car go into the wall at Copse backwards, especially just after the safety car. I wonder if it's just cold rear tyres, as he's skidding all over the place at the moment. Really seems to be struggling with cold rears. Janil, though, still in the lead as Khalifa, his teammate, he's gone up 3 places on this first lap.
Yeah, that's good for him. He'll definitely be wanting to keep that up. The momentum is with him at the moment, but he's not in the position he wants to be to, I'd say, help his teammate, but he kind of already has in a way. So I think he's just going to do everything he can to try and maximise the constructors' fight now, as AJ's left the session. He's had enough of really hot tyres. Oh dear, that's probably just an innocent thing, but his tyres were really hot because he was spinning, as you say, donutting a few moments ago. Lawrence is just down in P17, just tootling around now, so everyone is doing what they can to try and get back into it. But this championship fight is just very spicy, especially if Janel makes a mistake. He's only 3/10 ahead of Ollie at the moment, who would love to get past him.
Yeah, and they might have missed a simp on the back of him soon. He managed to get past J-Luke into Brooklands, and that was without the advantage of DRS. So who knows what he'll be able to do next time around, when everyone from, at the moment, Ollie down to Schofield will get DRS. Sixel, as we would expect, on those medium tyres, sort of a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. Kian, though, isn't thinking about attacking. He's thinking about defending, because he's got Khalifa all over the back of him at the moment. The Mercedes just not quite close enough to have a go there into Stowe. He has to wait another day. Jimbo Manzi trying to get alongside Rimpe there. Very lucky not to lose his front wing. Very lucky not to be passed by Verheyen either. DRS will be enabled this time around, and you imagine now Rimpe is going to be a bit of a sitting duck, because he must have made a mistake on that lap somewhere to allow these guys to get so close to him as Jimbo tries to go down the inside. Oh, there's more contact between them. Verheyen trying to avoid going into the back of them as well. Jimbo's broke his front wing ever so slightly. It's getting a bit messy from 5th downwards at the moment. Further up, though, Ollie not able to get ahead of Janil. Can Jimbo go down the inside into Brooklands? He's going for the move. Be careful not to get spun. We saw how that can go wrong earlier. Just about. Somehow Rimpe still holding on to that 5th position, but he's now 3 seconds off the top 4. It's going to be very hard for anyone else to get into that top 4 on track at the moment, because Rimpe seems to be driving the widest racing point around. It's almost like he's borrowed one of the trucks from the team factory and parked it sideways on the circuit. Great defending.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with making your car as wide as you possibly can, as long as it's not with infringing the limit, and he's not. He's doing a very good job, as you say, but Schofield is definitely on the back of this thinking, hold on a minute, there's a battle going on and I'm getting closer to this. He's definitely trying to get back into this race as best as he can, but he's at the moment not doing enough to go on to next week.
No, he's not, unfortunately for him. Verheyen has got ahead of Jimbo Manzi. Khalifa tried it through Stowe on Kian. Didn't work. He made it work through Vale, though. Khalifa back into the points in the Mercedes. He is absolutely flying at the moment. Lap 20. 7 laps to go. Janil winning the race, doing all he can to secure the championship here. But unfortunately for him, Ollie Flavel is in 2nd place. That might soon be 3rd, though, as Mr. Sims tried to go down the inside through the loop. That's going to compromise his exit ever so slightly. They've both got DRS, and you can see Janil having to break that toe early on to try and stop Ollie Flavel getting ahead of him. The McLaren only with 1 win so far this season, and this is crucial. If it finished as they are at this moment in time, Ollie Flavel has the fastest lap, of course, so he would lose 6 points to Janil, would go into the next race 18 points behind. If he takes the victory, he'd gain 8 points. It would only be 4 points behind. This is how crucial it is for Ollie, for him to try and get the victory in this race, because it really will make things extremely exciting going into the finale in Vietnam if he can somehow take the victory. But Mr. Simper J-Luke will definitely have something to say about that as well. Ollie in his DRS at the moment. Janel stays to the inside. Ollie not really using too much ERS as Kian is out of the race. He's had a big off through Beckett by the looks of things, and that is another safety car.
that ruined that. Ollie looked like he was about to take the lead of the race. He was lining him up and everything. He was about to go for the move, and then the yellows came, so he backed off because yellow flags in that sector, and then the safety car comes out. So will we see anyone dive into the? Yes, we will. Schnitzel's probably going to try and get fastest lap outside top 10. Jonas also Jonas also in. Sorry, I misread the leaderboard for a second. James Dovey in as well.
And Lawrence as well. So through the back markers coming in, sort of makes sense for Schnitzel. He'd have no chance of heating up those mediums afterwards. His teammate won't come in because he's disconnected from the session. We are going to have a very short sprint here for the end of the race. A couple of laps. I am at, hopefully, not too many laps under the safety car. It'll be at least 2. We've got a 3 or 4 lap green flag sprint to end this Silverstone Grand Prix. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. And Ollie definitely looked as though he had the pace to challenge Janil then. Just will he have the pace afterwards? Trying to heat up these soft tyres as well now. That's going to be a bit difficult. There's no worries about them getting to the end. They just might find it a bit slidier than they remember once we go back to green.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit slidey, but oh dear. I was going to say Lawrence is having a miserable day. He's had 5 stops and he's in the wall again. Oh dear.
It is not going well for Lawrence. He's in the wall once again. He's still going around though. All credit to him. He's still in this. Oh, he's not anymore, surely.
No, he's not.
He's not in this race anymore. Both Ferraris out, and it has been a bit of a horrible race for them. It's not been the greatest season either. If I'm being brutally honest, 8th at the moment. You would expect the Ferraris, of course, in a normal season, to be a lot higher. This season in real life, 8th in the championships, roughly about what their pace has shown at some circuits for the Scuderia. But Jano leading this race, Ollie Flavel in second, Mr. Simp third, J-Luke, Rimpey, Verheyen, Schofield, Jimbo, Khalifa, Danestar back into the points, Lukey, Schnitzel, Jonas and James Dovey, because AJ will drop a long way down the order. And I think Jano was trying to dummy a few drivers there into thinking he was going into the pits. He left it very late to head back towards the racing line and head back towards the circuit. Anyone who's got penalties now, like Mr. Simp, this is going to cause a lot of problems for them, because 9 seconds of penalties, he's got no chance of pulling that out in the final 3 or 4 laps of this race.
Yeah, as you said at the top, keeping it clean is very much key, and this is exactly the situation where you want to get as little penalties as possible. I'm looking forward to seeing round 2 of the fight between Yalon and Ollie, though. That is going to be a brilliant way to finish the race.
There could well be either 2 laps, although now that Lukey and Jimbo are pitted, it might only be 1 lap with DRS, where you're going to have your best possible opportunity of getting it going. Schnitzel gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, but I think he passed AJ for that to happen, who's a ghost car, so hopefully he'll be able to get that removed. Jimbo Manzi's been back into the pits. He's put the soft tyres on. He is in 15th at the moment, and despite the Red Bulls being only on for 2 points at this moment in time, the championship battle would still carry on to the next round in Vietnam for the constructors, and it looks like it's going to carry on for the drivers as well, as Danestar and Khalifa have swapped positions. Please don't cause that glitch where everyone has to drive at 1 mile an hour to let each other by, and it doesn't look like it has done on this occasion. Or if it has, Khalifa's just going to deal with it, which, to be honest, is probably the best thing to do. We're going to have we said it a few times, we're going to have a fascinating end to this race.
Yeah, all the signs were there very early on, and I had a feeling in my waters this morning like this is going to be a cracker of a race, and I haven't been wrong yet today. So this is just adding the drama to the excitement. And safety car in this lap. So we're going to have more DRS than we thought.
We're going to have 2 laps of it. That is the message we just love to see. Safety car in this lap. All 15 cars bunched together, all on soft tyres. Schnitzel on 10th on the fresh soft tyres, as is everyone behind him. So don't count out some of these lower down in the field from picking up some very decent points here. Janel got the restart absolutely spot on the last time around. Can he do it this time? When is he going to floor it and go for the throttle? Is it going to be through Vale? Not quite yet. He's leaving it late. You'll see him shift down, I think, any moment soon. No, he's just gone for it now, coming through Club. Ollie Flavel right with him, though. He left it a bit late, did Jano. We've got 4 laps of racing here at Silverstone, and it looks like the Drivers' Championship is going all the way. Rimpey all over the back of J-Luke here, not able to make a move. Schofield are trying to go round the outside of Verheyen as Mr. Simps chucked one down the inside on Ollie Flavel. Is the McLaren able to hold off for that position? Oh, there's been contact between the two of them. Ollie's got a penalty. Mr. Simp now alongside. Ollie will not be happy with that whatsoever as Mr. Simp now down the inside takes second position from Ollie Flavel. That could have big ramifications for the championship with Ollie getting that penalty and the field being so close together. They're still going at it side by side, and all of a sudden Janil has more than a second lead. Mr. Sim trying to get back here at Ollie. J-Luke and Rimpe and Verheyen all waiting behind. It is extremely close between these guys, and there was only really one winner from that, and he's in the black Mercedes at the lead of this race.
Yep, it's definitely the best thing to have happened to Janil's championship so far, and this is a very good step towards another 25 points, which puts him a little bit closer, so he doesn't have to do as much next week. But of course that's still a long way away. There's 3 laps to go, but that's going to feel like 30 if you're waiting for something to happen. And this is yellow flag in sector 3. Don't really know what happened there, but this battle, Rimpe, Verheyen and Schofield, and backwards to even past Khalifa and Schnitzel. Jonas in 11th is not out of this battle for 5th. It's brilliant.
It's absolutely fantastic. If Ollie gets back within a second, pretty much the entire field, apart from James and AJ, who's not here, is going to have DRS. This is going to be fantastic. Ollie's now trying to get away. Luckily for him, Simp has loads of penalties. J-Luke has some. Rimpe has one. Verheyen's kept it clean. Schofield has 2 penalties. Khalifa has kept it clean. There's got a lot of drivers have picked up penalties, so this might not cost Ollie yet, as Lukey and Jonas currently battling for 11th and 12th. And in fact, Lukey thinks, hello, I might have a go against Stixel here. That up into 10th place. What a move there. Stixel just running wide slightly through Loffield, and Jimbo Manzi down the inside of Jonas, coming through Woodcut. Is he able to take the position? Coming through Corps. Indeed he is. Fair play to Jonas, who realised he was on the outside and wasn't going to be able to hang on there. J-Luke trying to hang on to the car as Mr. Simp picks up another penalty. He's lost it. Simp's had a big off into the wall. He's able to carry on. That is going to be definitely no points for him though, and he's retired from the session as Rimpe's now down round the outside of J-Luke into 3rd position. We could well get a new name on the podium here this season. Who is it going to be? J-Luke round the outside at Vale. Is he able to hold on to the position? Rimpe's still battling hard with him. 2 laps to go. DRS enabled for these final 2 laps. There's contact between them. J-Luke nearly loses it. Verheyen round the outside into Abbey now. He's kept it clean on penalties as well. He could get a podium here in the precision tier. He's been close before. Penalties have normally cost him. This time penalties could help him out as Jimbo Manzi now gets up into 10th place. I don't know where to look. I could do with about 5 different camera angles here in one go.
Yeah, we could do with another couple of commentators as well to capture all this, because this is excellent. Ollie Flavel is within a second of the leader again, so this is going to be a brilliant shootout to see who wins the race. But the real battle is who's going to be the new name on the podium, as you alluded to. Could it be Eva Hannenbach on the podium since winning this championship last season? Is Rimpe going to hold on? Is J-Luke going to be there? Is Schofield going to come back and get an unlikely podium? Khalifa, he's also there, B7. I don't know what's going to happen.
If Khalifa somehow ends up on the podium, it's been an absolute miracle after what happened with the safety car and that penalty. I wonder if Ollie Flavel will try and get that 3 seconds removed as well for the incident. For the incident with Mr. Simp, although at the moment that 3 seconds might not cost him too much because he's 2 seconds ahead of Rimpe all of a sudden, taking full advantage of the DRS as Jay trying to fight back at the moment. You got the 2 Red Bulls. Dainstar and Jimbo Manzi were fighting for a bit there, and Dainstar's now thrown one down the inside on Luke, and he sent himself around. His teammates hit him. The Red Bulls have collided. It's Istanbul 2010, it's Azerbaijan 2018. It's Jimbo Manzi frustratingly into the wall. Dainstar's got front wing damage. Jimbo Manzi is out. If we do see a lot of chaos on this final lap, Mercedes could win the Constructors. I'm going to have to get my calculator out here, but I don't think they're quite going to do it. We're on the final lap of the race, though. Ollie Flavel, 6/10 of a second behind Janil. At this moment in time, not close enough to have a go. And Dainstar's left the session. He's out of the race. Both Red Bulls are out of the race. That is Dainstar's championship chances officially over. Khalifa battling with Schofield here. Can he make it down the inside? Khalifa up into 6th position. It's all gone wrong for Red Bull here. at Silverstone. Who would have thought this would have been happening? We thought the drivers might get sorted tonight. We thought the constructors had no chance. We'll have to wait and see. Lukey all over the back of Schofield here. Is he going to be able to hold on through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel? I'm not quite sure he will be able to. At this moment in time, the dirty air is just really going to cause him a lot of trouble. Ollie Flavel closing up to the back of Janil. Not close enough. Can J-Luke have one final go at Rimpe round the outside into Stowe? He's going to have to be so late on the brakes to try and make this work. He's going for it. He's going for it. He's somehow pulled it off. He's got himself a penalty, but that was an absolutely fantastic move. Is he able to hold on for third place? We'll go back to that battle. Janil takes the victory. Ollie Flavel in second. J-Luke crosses the line in third, but it is Verheyen who takes the podium. Khalifa in fourth. And that means Mercedes are the Season 16 Precision Tier Constructors Champions.
Yeah, it was coming over 40 points difference even before Khalifa got promoted. I was doing the maths as well with you, but that's definitely confirmed it. Even had an in-game driver of the day. He's had a solid drive, you know. He showed more signs of why he won the championship last season. He's had a few of those this season, and then there's a couple where he's gone missing as well. It's weird. But what a race.
What a race. And it's ended up with the same top two as last week. Janil taking the victory. Ollie Flavel in second. Great job from Verheyen on third place. But you've got to say now, Janil definitely in the box seat with 1 round to go at Vietnam for retaining his Precision Tier Championship. Here are the provisional results, and not precisional. Get my words out from this race. Janil taking the victory. Ollie Flavel in the end, the penalty not costing him, and he just got the fastest lap, so that means it is an 18-point deficit he has to make up next time. Great result from Verheyen to go from 17th to 3rd. Khalifa got a bit screwed over by that second, or by the first safety car, I believe it was. He is in 4th place. Lukey up to 5th despite 4 pit stops. J-Luke dropping to 6th. Rimpe, good result from him in 7th. Jonas in 8th. Schofielder in 9th. He is out of the Drivers' Championship. Schnitzel still manages to pick up a point in 10th. His teammate was an AI car, James Dovey, finishing his first race at least, and I believe he will get the point for the fastest lap outside of the top 10, so great job for him. Danestar and Jimbo Manzi and Mr. Sim still classified despite all retiring in a chaotic end after the final safety car. Kian and Lawrence and Kelvin, the other retirements. I don't think I took a breath in those final few laps.
No, it was... It was a lot going on, very hectic, but very, very brilliant stuff. And I knew it was going to be sensational tonight, but I didn't quite think in that way. But that was brilliant to watch. And I suppose at this point, we should probably think of Driver of the Day. I'll let you go first this week.
I realised then when I didn't ask you for Driver of the Day, I'd put myself in a really awkward situation. Do you know what? I'm going to, just because of how bad it looked at one point and how good it turned out to be for him, I'm going to go for Khalifa and just ask him an absolutely fantastic comeback after what happened under the safety car. Did you think the chances of you getting to the point in the points ended when you saw the safety car come out just in front of you and you had to follow it around for the entire lap? So that's my driver of the day in question. And to be honest, there's probably another 4 or 5 people you could pick, Matt. So who are you going to go for, and what do you want to ask them?
Well, yeah, you're right. There's 4 or 5 I could have picked, but I'm going to go with Lukey. He's done 4 stops today. Who says you only needed to do 2 around Silverstone? What a drive! This must be more than what you were hoping for.
So yeah, Khalifa and Lukey are driver of the day. You can see their questions on the forum shortly. You'll be able to vote for them on Twitter. I mean, there were many other candidates. Janil, obviously, what a step towards taking the championship. Powell and victory. Ollie Flavel tried everything, somehow managed to hold off into second place for Hayden getting his first podium. So many different candidates, and we've got to say as well, congratulations to Janil and Khalifa clinching that Constructors' Championship. What could have gone wrong did go wrong, I think, for the Red Bull today. Jimbo had no pace on the mediums. Danestar had that incident with Schofielder. Not quite sure what caused the AlphaTauri to be spinning across the circuit in the first place. Then they came together through Vale, and from there it was game, set and match Mercedes.
Yeah, the writing was definitely on the wall up to that point, but that just definitely sealed it for Mercedes. It was unfortunate to see, but unfortunately, as we've said, these things happen, but hopefully they'll still look to end up with a high next week.
Hopefully it will. So we will see you guys next week for the championship battle. And if you want to see the final pinnacle race of the season, you can watch that now. They are ending their season today. A bit of a memorial for not a memorial, testimonial is a better word for Lewis Welsh, his final race here at One Hub, as he finally makes the decision he should have made about 12 months ago to turn off the racing line. So he has decided to leave One Hub. It's his final race with One Hub at the moment. They're just finishing their qualifying session, and I think Lewis might be trying to do a last to first challenge at the moment, so make sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our sponsors again, Liam13 and Next Level Racing. Thank you to the drivers for putting on a fantastic race. Thank you for Matt for joining me once again in commentary, and we will see you for the championship decider next week, same time, same place. Vietnam will be the home. Janil versus Ollie Flavel. Which one of them will take the championship, take the £20 PSN voucher, and take that fantastic trophy home with them? You'll have to watch to find out. It's sure to be exciting. We'll see you guys then. Good night.